So micro, macro is a work, is a piece of music, it's a film, it's an architecture, it's a pavilion, it's an architecture folly that has just landed in the park of Serralves. The project was conceived by the artist, the musician, the composer, the filmmaker, Ryoji Ikeda, who's one of the most important artists working between Japan and Europe. Ryoji, who is started about over 20 years ago with digital electronic music, doing collage of existing data, has developed a work based on his knowledge of course, technology, nature, cognitive science, architecture, mathematics, and a desire to find a way to represent, to give a form to the immensity of the universe. Of course, it sounds extremely ambitious, but we live at a time where the limits of what we see are challenged every day. Between you and me right now, because of the devices we have in our pocket, because of the technology that surrounds us, the part of our life that is invisible almost is more important than the part of our life that is visible. The data that circulates from your computer, from satellite, from cell phones, we are breathing these elements, and they, whether we want it or not, are part of nature. And that this nature, in contact with nature that you see around me, that is the core of Ryoji Ikeda's work. How can we represent that? How can we represent the immensity, the infinity? You know, we live also at a time where the universe is being explored. Space shuttle, satellite are traveling millions of light years to explore different solar systems. They travel for years and years and years, giving us a perception and apprehension of time and space which is way beyond what our mind can actually comprehend. And that's the work, that's the center of Ryoji's work, whether he does a concert, a film, or whether he collaborates here for Serralves with the architect Nuno Brandão da Costa to conceive this pavilion, which is both, I would say, a tea ceremony house, a maze. Actually, at some point, Ryoji Ikeda mentioned an idea coming from the writer Borges that a line is a maze, and the line that you see behind me that run across this building is the anticipation of the maze, and the maze will be at the center of the pavilion. I mentioned the tea ceremony and the tea house, the tea ceremony house, which is a very ritualistic, codified space in Japan. And there is a little bit of that when you enter this pavilion. You have to go around, you have to follow a path, you have the anticipation of what you will see at the center of the chamber that has been designed by Ryoji Ikeda and Nuno Brandão da Costa. There you will see a projection on the ceiling, a film, a moving image on the ceiling reflected on a mirror on the floor, creating this loop of infinity. And for about 10 minutes, you're going to go on a journey through time and space and culture, all articulated on facts that are the data that Ryoji is using to produce both the music and the image. With one idea, again, is how do we represent what is borderless, infinity, immensity, and bringing us at the edge of what he would call the sublime. This architecture folly here at Serralves is part of a tradition of pavilions designed by artists. Dan Graham pavilion Olafur Eliasson Curious Vortex, the chamber that we designed and built with the artist Rui Schaffers. It's also part of a program, a desire in a city where architecture is so important, where we have two Pritzker Prize architects and many institutions dedicated to architecture, to actually talk about architecture, show architecture, but with our own singularity. Architecture as perceived, as seen, as conceived by artists.